We'll call this Wednesday, May 10th, 2017 meeting of the Criminal Justice Committee to order.
Mr. Byrne? Mr. Hess?
Present.
Mr. Washington? Mr. Stauffenberg? Mr. Vickery? Mr. Tholen? Mr. McConnell? Mr. Scott? Mr. Snipes? Mr. Seroy? Ms. Evans? Mr. Payton? Ms. Dunbar? Ms. Parker? Mr. Wheeler? Mr. Lear? We have a quorum.
We have a quorum. Just so... Hang on. Just so everybody knows, we are not live streamed today. It will happen next month. There's a little problem, I guess, so... But you're still on camera, so... I have not received anything for public comment. Is there any public comment at this time? Any public comment? Moving on to the approval of the minutes. We have minutes from the court service from June 21st, July 19th, August 16th, September 20th, and October 18th of 2016. Make a motion to combine and approve them. Mr. McConnell, seconded by Mr. Vickery. All in favor say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. You also have a copy of the minutes from last month's criminal justice meeting of April 12th, 2017. Take a motion to approve them. Ms. Parker, second by Mr. Payton. All in favor say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And we will have the May of 2016 on the agenda for next month. Moving on to the state's attorney's office, Mr. Rowe. In your packet, you have a copy of the grand jury report. I'll take a motion to approve that. Mr. Stauffenberg, second by Mr. Seroy. Good morning, Jim. Comments on your reports?
In line this morning.
It's as high as it goes. Tell me about it. It's as high as it goes.
Thanks for letting me skip in line this morning. I've got to get out a little bit early. So the grand jury indicted 42 individuals last Thursday. That brings us to over 250 for the year. The stats are pretty self-explanatory. If anyone has any questions on that.
No questions. We have a motion and a second. All in favor of his report, say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Only other thing, June 15th, we're having a senior safety fair at the Quality Inn. It's going to have the cooperation of a lot of different departments and agencies throughout the county. Everything from scams, prescription safety, through the coroner's office. I believe the sheriff's going to have some representation there. Bradley Canine Program. It's senior agencies, a lot of resources for the seniors. It's all free. There'll be a free lunch served as well. So I'll get flyers emailed out to everyone, so hopefully you can help spread the word. And also, the circuit clerk's office and the state attorney's office were working together to coordinate a June amnesty program. That's where in June people would be able to come in and any unpaid fines they have that are owed to the county, they would be able to pay those fines without the additional 30% collection fee or interest. So there's an opportunity there to hopefully get people in, allow them to pay what they owed on day one so they're not hit with all the extra fines and costs. It will only be in June. We don't anticipate doing this often and maybe never again. So this is one chance for people in the community to come in, get those fines paid, maybe get their driver's license restored, and get that monkey off their back.
Mr. McConnell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. State Attorney, how are you going to notify all these people?
Well, we're going to do the best we can to get it out through the media, social media, hopefully newspaper, radio. No, we're not doing mailings. No.
Questions or comments from the state's attorney?
Thanks.
Thank you. We need to make a motion and deviate from the agenda. Mr. Gessner has a meeting at 8:15, so we'll move him up in the agenda. Mr. Gessner. In your, pardon? Yeah. In your copy, you have a report, a monthly report for the coroner. Take a motion to combine those two and approve them. Mr. Vickery, seconded by Mr. Searoy. Your report, Bob.
As you can see down there, we're still extremely high on autopsies and the toxicologies. Basically, a large part of my is on the autopsies, which is pretty costly right now for what we're doing on that. We're still have 8 incomplete calls at this point right now that are at the bottom incomplete there, and as they come in, it'll be adding to the statistics there. But we're just talking about possibility of a little more overdoses that we have. Right now, we're at 23 overdoses in this county, and we're looking at that 8 category. I don't know much if it'll go higher or where it'll go from there until we get the toxicology back. So I'll take any questions on that before I get into the rest of them.
Questions? Have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
What we're running into in our county right now is the heroin is not really the leading drug anymore. It's the fentanyl, and the fentanyl is the one that's producing the deaths a little quicker than what people think. I talked about the 7 different fentanyls. We got 6 of the different fentanyls in this county right here. To watch what's happening in this county just is unbelievable. I've talked around to the different corners. We're actually higher than some of the. Cook County has the acenol fentanyl and the acryl fentanyl, and they have 40. We've had in the month of the last month there, we've just advanced very extremely high in this fentanyl. It's a killer. I don't know if I showed this picture to you, but I'll pass this around here. This is the killer right here. You notice how much. This is what we're coming into. As you see, the carfentanil is just like a grain of salt. That's all it takes to be into that heroin, and that's a killer right there. You can see hardly at all in the fentanyl, and that's a killer. That's what's mixed into that heroin, and that's what we have in this county. It's unbelievable. But I do have some good news here. Earlier this year, Health and Human Services released a $16.3 million of grant. The money will be released for the purpose of helping address the opioid crisis, increasing the treatment, and reducing the opioid overdoses and additional prevention. In February 2017, as I announced at this meeting here, I went after this grant along with Riverside Healthcare and Kankakee County Health Department to apply the maximum amount for Kankakee County to receive $250,000 for this grant. I'm happy to report earlier this week it's announced that Kankakee County will be receiving these funds. The exact amount has not been released yet. After the deduction of administrative costs, and the maximum the county can receive is $225,000. This will be used for only into the treatment of opioid disorder, and remaining the 20% will cover the Narcan purchases, which was costing us a lot. Now we're covering of all of the law enforcement officers, but also we've already hit the Kankakee County, which we paid for, and then all of a sudden we got nailed for they tripled the price on us. Well, we're still holding down at $40 a shot, so we've had to increase it from 2 milligrams to 4 milligrams. But this is a great achievement. The Jackie Haas, from the president of the CEO of the Helen Wheeler Center, she told us that this was a wonderful thing, that we needed this type of services in Kankakee County. So, as of today, hopefully when I get the money here, I'm extremely excited about this. It's been a long work back and forth with Riverside, emails and stuff like that, getting that grant together. First time I've really worked in a grant along with my chief deputy, Eric, and we were able to accomplish that. I feel really proud about that.
Questions, comments on that? Mr. Washington?
Do you know which one of the fentanyls is the most potent, that you have to use more than the anti?
Basically, right now, the fentanyls are hurting us the most. Starting from fentanyl itself into the carfentanil, they've used up to 12 to 16 milligrams to try to pull them out. Which we're not going to have that. That's why we tell them right away to call for the 911 and get the ambulance heading that way, because they'll bring more. We're working on that, where we might have to advance that, but as long as that we've got a great EMS system in Kankakee County, they'll get there in time. But it starts with the fentanyl. The carfentanil is the worst right now, and I know it's in this county. And then looking on the TV, there's a gray called Gray Death. Look that up on your internet. That's in our county already. Gray Death. That's an unbelievable. I haven't even got a chance to look into it, how we would treat that and what Narcan's going to do. The Noxazone is called too.
I forget which one it was, but I was listening to the news and it said it took 4 shots in order to be effective against this one.
It could be the Acenol fentanyl, acrylic fentanyl. These are 100 times more powerful than morphine, and that's what. But this new spray we got, which was developed, is like a nasal spray. It's just and that's it. Police are very happy with that. It's a lot easier. No needles are involved. It's that quick. And it takes about 3 minutes, 1 to 3 minutes to react, and you'd be surprised how they come out of that.
Mr. Searice?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Bob, you and Eric do a fabulous job on your post-prom accident involved with the local hospitals and running all the program that you have where you show an accident from injury to death to parents' notice and all that stuff. Do you have any kind of program that we could maybe educate the youth in the communities about the heroin epidemic that is starting or that we're dealing with right now, to prevent a lot of maybe younger people to getting involved in that trade? Or I'm just throwing it out there at you. It's an idea that I don't think, well, maybe they do know that it's killing people, but kids getting involved in these kind of hard drugs is a very big problem. So I don't know if you have any ideas on, a program to educate the youth with and try to scare them out of this type of thing.
Well, in fact, I do. In fact, it starts out with the prescription drugs in a younger age. And we're seeing it. We're seeing THC in 13-year-olds that have been involved in a car accident that have not made it. It's something that I'd be more than willing to do. Every day, it seems like we're getting phone calls from people wanting us to come out there, understanding. And I thank the press, the Journal, both radio stations, and the Herald for giving us that opportunity and press time to talk about this, because it's dangerous out there. I worry about the police officers. We're protecting them. Everything I can do to help protect them and the dogs. It's that dangerous, and it's all over this county. Between our statistics, be more than happy to give you the statistics of where they're at. Kankakee, Bradley, Bourbonnais, Manteno, it's huge.
Now, what, and I'm just trying to figure out what kind of venue would we have to provide to get people there? Would you go on site to places, or would you want to do it in a centralized location to try to get as many people in front of you at a time? You know, where did you do your post prom or your prom thing this year?
Right at the school.
At the school, okay.
Well, we do have some come here to
Okay.
this facility right here because they're gonna take a tour of the jail.
Okay, because I would be willing to donate as many buses that we have to fill up, to bring people wherever you needed to go, to make it the most effective
To see the
program.
real factor is to see not only our PowerPoint and then go over to the morgue. And I don't know, Chad is a 13-year-old above able to come through on a tour? I don't know. They can make arrangements. for
Yeah.
that. And that's a good quality. This is not where you want to be.
Right,
And that's not where you want to be over there.
right.
So I would be more than happy to put that together.
Because I know myself,
So get in quick because the dates are piling up.
myself, I'm in touch with a lot of young people, and I know Mr. Snipes is also in touch with a lot of young people in our daily lives, in our daily work. So if maybe we can figure something out together to try to get an audience, you know, even if it's just a few, but maybe we can, you know, scare some of them out of this kind of, you know.
Well, I
result.
take it, as you might be you're probably seeing people that have died of heroin overdoses that you know.
I know there's been 2 heroin overdoses in my little small community of 1,200. So, you know, and that number's probably only gonna grow with all these fentanyls out there. So, and I don't know how you keep track of all the fentanyl. You got 6 different types of fentanyl, and it costs your department more money to try to figure out which fentanyl it is, you know. So if we can maybe figure something out, I will be glad to help you reach as many people as you can, you know.
That's my goal. That's education is a big part of me right now. Between all that, I mean, we're between Eric and I, we can do that.
Okay,
Because that's like I told you right here. So,
I agree. Okay, well, thank you, sir.
absolutely.
Mr. Snipes?
First of all, Bob, I thank you for what you do. Just want some clarification because you said Great Death. Now, is that Great Death spelled like Grey Poupon or 50 Shades of Grey, or is it like Grey Color or Gray Area?
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about the spelling.
Oh, just Gray Death.
G-R-A-Y? Okay,
Yeah.
not the G-R-E-Y.
No, more like Grey Poupon.
Right, there you go.
I don't have that stuff.
It's yellow.
Any other questions or comments for Mr. Gessner?
Also, one other thing, we're having a problem with the when the decomp patient, not patient, deceased comes into our morgue. We have a problem with the smell with the mechanic, and I promised him that I'd get involved in that and try to work on that the time that I have. We did find out our problem, and we're kind of glad that we did find out the problem because that could cost us $25,000 on OSHA per day. It's just the fan that's over there that's under that. Those have been over to the morgue before. That fan was never told to us exactly what it does, other than when we get a burned patient or somebody that smells, we'll throw it on. But that has to be on at all times because that kicks in our air system, bringing fresh air into us, and that'll come over there and helped us and was able to find out what our problem was. Gave us a couple things to do. We did them and it works. And now the only problem is we got a sensor or something that helps, that makes a lot of noise, and it really bothers the doctor because their concentration they need to have. So what we did is we found out that because we hardly ever used it, it's still in pretty good shape, but there has to be a new thing put on
It's
it.
called a sound attenuator, and what it does, it baffles the air so you don't have the noise. You still have the volume of it, but you don't have the noise, because the doctors are standing literally 2 feet away from that air intake that makes the noise. So we're gonna put a sound attenuator in the ductwork that eliminates, they said 30 to 40% of the noise. You can't eliminate it all because you have air movement.
Right.
But it'll eliminate 30 to 40% of it.
So he roughly said I was going to be about 1,500. So sit down a little. I will give you that price list. I will cover that out of my coroner's fees as part of equipment there, so go ahead and order that. And I just want you to know
I just have to measure it up and it's,
that we're taking that. Just want you to relax over there.
Based on what you're saying, it alters the flow of the air so that it doesn't go straight.
exactly, it hits the baffle, comes up, and it's like a foam thing, it makes the air go this way, so, yeah, exactly.
Right.
They use it in auditoriums a lot.
Right, right.
Thank you, Mr. McConnell, for
You're welcome.
working on
Yes.
this.
Appreciate that.
Questions or comments? Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thanks for getting me up here.
Yep. Judge Kramer's not here. We'll move on to the circuit clerk, Ms. Cianci. In your packet, we have a copy of Ms. Cianci's report. Take a motion to approve. Mr. Washington, second by Mr. Vickery.
Good morning.
Hi, good morning, Sammy. Comments on your report?
No, nothing unusual or different. The last month with our total recoveries through the collections efforts between the eye-drop, the regular collections, and whatever the state's attorney's office is doing in court, we increased from last year about $46,000 in collections for this last month of April. I think things are going well. The money is starting to come in from the eye drop right now, so they start tagging it or collecting it in February, and then they put it on hold for 60 days to allow the person to contest it, and then if everything is fine, then we get checks. And so then what we have to do is when we get those checks, they're direct deposited into our account. But we get a report and we have to go in and enter that information into the court cases so that everything balances. And a lot of these checks will have like 300 cases on them. So we have to enter a lot of information to 300 cases before we can reconcile that check. So every week we're getting a new check with about that many cases on it. So it's a little busy right now. But we're handling it.
Mr. Wheeler?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On the report, how was the court security fee noted? I was looking to see that line, because that
It's
should
up
have,
towards the top.
Court fee?
Court fee, or court security right below it. So it's at the very, on page 1.
Page 1. Look down the column, 8,282.65.
okay, why are you backwards?
Yeah, it's a 3-page report. It's about 12 or 14 down from the top.
Oh, there it is, okay.
Court
about-
security,
Right
CT security.
away. Yeah. That's a low blow. The 2864?
No, the 82.
82.
82.65.
Court security, right
82,
below it,
65.
okay. What type of trend is that? It's the first time I ever thought to look to see since we implemented that.
I would have to, I
Okay.
don't pay attention to each fund.
Each
So
fund, okay.
if you want me to ever track a certain fund, I can certainly do that.
Maybe we'll
let
just
me
make a
know.
mental note to just take a look at that month to month and see if we can figure out any trends, because we should have seen an increase in that over the past few months.
I'd be happy to go ahead and add that as a little side report. If there's that, any other fee that you would like, I can do
Yeah,
that.
just the new ones from the Bellwether study, just to see
Okay.
how that's performing. It'd be nice to look at least once or twice while they get going here.
Sheriff Downey?
Yeah, there was a slight delay in that increase due to some issues that the chief judge had.
Right.
So I don't know that I mean, I think it's all changed now, but I know that there was a couple month delay because he had some concerns on certain cases, so we may start seeing those now. I mean, there may be an increase now, and I think there is. I think that's a little bit more than there has been in the past, but I think we won't see the full increase for the next couple months.
And the same with the bonding fee, too.
So maybe it's quarterly is what we do. We do
That's
like
fine.
a little quarterly look at it just to see first quarter last year versus, and so maybe, later in the year.
No problem.
Any other questions or comments on the report? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Training from, it was in here from last month. You know, we're gonna send 2 people for training. Is that done?
Send 2 people for training.
Yep. Unless I read this wrong. The new system?
Oh, well, yeah, we didn't send anybody anywhere. They, there were 3 people for the e-filing, and they did it on a webinar type thing. We are accepting the e-filing right now for the L case type right now only, so that we can get our feet wet and understand how the process works. Because once the big filers, open the floodgates, it'll be, we just want to know what we're doing first. So they did that training a couple weeks ago. We haven't had very many filings yet, so we're okay with that. The manual on record keeping has been changed as of April 1st, and now I'm not doing much with it just yet, but once we file stamp a document, 30-day, if we enter it into our court system and are satisfied that it's there and secure, we can get rid of the piece of paper. So we have tons and tons of cases that we're able to get rid of files now. But I'm working with CourtView. The software that we use for the scanning to integrate into the system is NetDMS. And there is a county in Ohio that works with CourtView, and they can purge those documents from the system if they need to move them off into microfilm or whatever. So I'm working, I called her, but she was out of the office, so I'm trying to get back in touch with her this week so that we can figure out that process. And then the chief judge and I talked, we're going to start slow with this project and work on the small claim cases. With everything entered into the computer now since 2010, we can get rid of the backlog as long as we have the right information. So we're going to do a quality control check on all those files first. But we will be able to start purging a lot of files and be more electronic, move into the current century.
Mr. Wheeler?
Mr. Chairman, I had a question about e-file, and when we go live in July, basically, is when we're starting to.
That's for e-appeals.
E-appeals, but we'll start the software integration and everything with e-file. We're going to start that project at least, and it has to be compliant by the end of the year.
Oh, you mean they're going to start building it? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So the question I had was in that process, it was explained to me. The e-file's they're gonna scan documents in on the other side of the counter.
The customer.
The customer, whoever, could be the lawyer, but mostly the customer. They'll scan it in and it goes electronically over the counter. Then we have to print it out and re-scan it in on the other side of the counter.
Until we're integrated. And that's why I've been trying to slow the process down until the integration with CourtView could be completed, which they probably won't get that done until November.
Okay. Is that gonna require is that where the other server comes into account, where we have to have another server in order to process this, or was it on existing infrastructure? Because I was trying to figure out where that all came in for financial planning reasons.
Kevin?
As far as what you're discussing, there won't be another server for that.
Okay.
There's been, and you may be talking about this, which is another issue that one of the judges requested that I give them information on, server upgrades. That really doesn't have anything to do with this. That was more at future projects and replacement costs. So they requested something, but that's not specific for this. At one time, they thought they were going to need one.
Okay.
But they turn out they can make use of what they have.
Okay. So e-record that's where we're going for July, correct?
No,
That's the end game.
No. July 1st is the e-appeals is the mandate for that. We have to be emailing, e-filing our appeals with the appellate court.
Okay.
January 1st is when the regular e-filing for all case types, or for civil case types, will be mandated. So the July 1st ticker is they weren't going to bill us for the creation of the integration project. For us to get into the pipe, into their line of planning, they went ahead, we signed the contract or the proposal and for the e-filing for January, and they have started the process, but they are allowing us to not pay until July 1st.
Right.
So they're in the process of getting those programs written right now. And the e-appeals, that's mandated for July 1st. Courtview is not probably going to be able to get that accomplished by then either. There's a company that I went to, they had an open house yesterday in Rantoul that does our microfilming, and they're called Source HOV, but they're changing their name. He just told us yesterday to Exala or something like that. But he, I may look into, or I will look into what their service is going to be to tide us over, because our appeals, the activity with appeals, may not at this moment warrant the $100,000 that they're asking us to pay to do that integration. So if I can look at this service, to see if we could just send it to them and let them do it, see what that, I'm sure that'll be more cost effective for us right now, until we are able to get the proposal and everything figured out with Courtview. We have a meeting tomorrow. Judge Kramer called a meeting with several of us.
I'll be there,
You're in
yeah.
that meeting too. So we're going to discuss that. I'm going to get the specifics from this company that I visited yesterday. The tour didn't turn out like I thought it would as far as them explaining that. They just were giving an overall tour of what their services are. So I'm going to talk to the rep today, and I'll have that information for tomorrow's meeting. But I feel that will be our better bet for now, because I feel like we're rushing, and I would rather sit back a minute and, understand what's happening and possibly have them do it rather than get the integration, try to rush that through before July 1st. Because the e-appeals, I don't know why the whole group is not worrying about that as much as they are at this January 1st date. They're more, when we were at a conference last week, Tyler was giving their presentation, and they kept, focusing on the January 1st date, but there were a lot of people that were concerned about the July 1st date. They just don't seem to think that's as big of a deal as January, but for those of us, it is a big deal, because if we're mandated, we need to have that under control by now.
Sure. And then the 100,000 you just mentioned, that, again, worst case, whatever, that wasn't currently accounted for as far as any of the costs we were talking about. This is
No.
new.
Yes,
And
this
then,
is new.
for the committee's knowledge and those that are on finance, if you're looking at end of year projections in that fund, it looks like that money would be there. So at worst case, it can be accounted for. It's not a good thing, but the analysis that we've done of the automation fund looks like it would be there. So at the end of the year, of course, the cash flow wise, we'd have to account for it in cash flow, but at least as far as budgetary numbers goes, it looks like it would happen. So that's why I asked. Thank you.
Sure, no problem.
Mr. Duval, did you get invited to that meeting tomorrow? Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else, Sandy?
No, that's about it.
Any other questions or comments for Sandy?
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up would be the public defender, Mr. Regas. He is not here. We have a copy of the public defender's report for the month of March. Take a motion to approve and put on file. Mr. Payton, second by Mr. Searoyce. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Mr. Latham.
Good morning.
Okay, you have a copy of the probation report in your packet. Take a motion to approve. Ms. Parker, second by Mr. Washington. Comments on your report, Tom?
Just as you can see, 598 successful field contacts, which gives us 2,269 year-to-date. 1,926 office contacts, totaling 2,524 contacts for April, and over 10,000 in the first 4 months of the year. 143 drug tests, 629 total tests for 17, and currently we have 13 juveniles in custody as of yesterday, which is a little bit up from our daily average. So that's spiked a little bit, but just hitting the main stats there. Any questions?
Questions on the report? We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Just quickly to discuss couple things that I've brought to the committee before. As I said before, there's numerous federal lawsuits regarding the cash bail system in other states, and I think there's one filed in Cook County. And I said as a result of that, AOIC is pushing to establish our enhanced pretrial services. That is something we had in the past, but in 2010 cuts, that was eliminated. Those individuals started getting regular cases to supervise. As I reported before, this was coming down the pipe, and April 28th, we received word that from the Illinois Supreme Court, they issued a statewide policy to establish or enhance pretrial services. Obviously with the goal to reduce pretrial incarceration. So this is something we have spoke to Judge Creamer yesterday and a couple times. That's something we have to move on. Unfortunately, additional funding for positions has not been part of the conversation yet. And this is going to be a population we're not really dealing with at all right now. So it's the numbers are going to increase quite a bit. And as I said before, bond reports is part of that, which requires what I believe to be 2 officers minimum to go out to the jail every morning early, interview individuals that are in custody, complete the report, background checks, employment checks, get that report put together for afternoon court call. And then they use that bond report to set bond and to set supervision conditions of pretrial supervision, which we would be providing the supervision of these individuals. So I just wanted to bring that up, that it's going to be difficult. We're going to start something now with what we have. I always find it better that it's to establish a program before they come out with their official pretrial program, because then they just want me to have you tweak a few things, but it's better than them just coming in and giving you a program to follow. So,
Mr. McConnell.
Mr. Latham, what happens if, I know you're time and people, what happens if that doesn't get done? Does the guy go free or anything like that, or is there?
No, it would be an issue with the courts. I mean, that's where they're expecting bond reports or reports on the supervision, their compliance. That would be the issue. Now, the overall issue is if we're not doing this program, as with anything in my world with AOIC, everything's tied to funding. And it's always best to be in compliance with everything when grant and aid is being determined and set for the following year and things like that. So that's where really they have you, is to, you can sit there and say, we don't have the people, we're not going to do it. Well, and we are part of our grant and aid now that we're supposed to be receiving has money in there for pretrial position. That's part of that, what we get every month, they're supposed to get every month. So that could be pulled, and just future funding cannot be increased if we're not in compliance. So that's why it's important that we do. That we do work on this program, get it out there as best we can, and at least have something. And hopefully, if it's not perfect, well, then we can make the argument we need people and funding for those individuals. So it's happening, and we got to get rolling on it real quick. I know other counties there's been a few pilot sites that have gotten this going, and counties are visiting other counties all the time to try to get an idea on the program, and we'll be doing the same thing. I just wanted to keep you that posted. I think I brought it up a few months ago, and now it's going to happen. How it's going to look, I don't know.
Mr. Wheeler.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Where do I start? So the state's not following through on their commitment to us for the grant and aid that they are supposed to be supplying us.
Correct.
And yet they add another unfunded mandate on top of us to do something that in their grand wisdom is better than what we have right now. Which may or may not be true. I'm not gonna pass judgment on that. The grand wisdom part I may pass judgment on. Is there any way to comply within the current constraints of your office in a satisfactory way to what their requirements are right now, pending, us being able to talk to our legislators and say there needs to be a grant and aid component to these positions that you're asking us to create? Because we can't continue to absorb these burdens. I have another thing that I have to tell the committee about that's another unfunded mandate that you may think is funny, but it's really I had to talk about it in new business. I just got it yesterday, as did many counties in the state. When is enough enough? And I'm not sitting here trying to slam the table and make political statements, but it's unbearable what they're doing to us, pushing everything down to us and not taking any of the burden for their decisions financially. So I want to comply. I want to do what is right and the right thing, but is it possible that as you take a look at this to try to absorb as much as you can under the current situation that they're already not paying for?
Well, we're getting the numbers now, and that's why I think it's so important to establish something before they come out with an official. It's one of those where if you have nothing to the state, well, you got to do this now. Where I think if you have something in place, hey, we're doing the best we can. And to a point, I believe in pretrial services. I believe in that program and the idea of getting low-risk individuals maybe out of custody. And but I believe that, I don't know, Andy. We're gonna try. We're gonna put this together. I guess we're gonna have to see maybe 6 months from after we started, 6 months down the road from that start point of how it's looking and if it's effective or if it's just
right. And to go on top of that, maybe we're losing sight of the savings that we may enjoy by not having to, as a taxpayer, the taxpayer savings of having to have those folks sitting in the jail pre-trial and the cost for doing that versus what we're having to spend for these positions. So, this isn't just a purely cost situation. It's I want to say human rights issue or whatever, about getting people out and all that kind of stuff, but we need to understand the financial impact of this as well. Maybe it will pay for itself by other costs that are being burdened by the corrections division.
Could be, but it's likely probably down the road. We feel the impact on our end right away. I do. I understand.
We're shifting money.
Yeah, I think, I understand I think I brought up here before, the AOIC talks about the 3 days count, 3 days matter program, that individuals in custody beyond 3 days, they start losing employment, things start falling apart, and you get those low-risk individuals out, so, obviously there's a cost to that, and that happens to people. But it just, it's a little frustrating because, like I said, this is, and you look at some pilot sites in McLean, they did 8 assessments, bond reports, basically, between January and October of 15, and they did over 3,200 assessments in a similar time period in 2016 because they were doing the program. They were doing pretrial services. So you can see our numbers are different, but you can see the percentage increase in the workload.
Yeah. And
then you got supervising individuals. So I don't know our numbers. We're doing that right now, but probably next month.
Okay. Thank you.
So I don't know if that answers the question. But
no, it's
Mr. Vickery.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Any idea on numbers?
No, I was hoping to have it right now, but
Yeah, I understand.
I'll probably have them the next few days.
Okay.
But
I was just curious as to
idea.
how many you'd have to interview, or I guess that's the process, right?
Yeah. Some individuals, probably if it's an extremely serious charge, we don't have to bother with the bond report. But a lot of individuals, it just depends on.
In this mandate, have they set the threshold? Have they set a threshold as to charges or?
No, nothing.
Okay, so it'd be your discretion initially as to what cases you would interview?
I would think that would be something we meet with the state's attorney about, have kind of a local rule. Again, I guess when I see when this comes out, when their program comes out, whenever that is, they could have that detailed out.
Okay.
And that's where I'd be hoping to say, well, we have these local rules we have in place, we're doing it, and like I said, they usually don't have, they will have you switch some stuff up, or change a few things, but they don't come in and say, scrap your program, do ours. That's usually not what they do. So that's why establishing those now, sooner than later, will be a big help.
Thank you.
Chad, is that gonna put a burden on you? No. Just thought I'd ask.
Yeah.
I mean, pushing down everybody. Mr. Searoyce.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Tom, just for the record, how far in the rears is the state on your grant and aid?
We've received July of 17, or 16, I'm sorry. July of 16 only.
July
So
of
1
s-
month of the fiscal year. is where
Okay.
we're at, so
Thank you.
thanks for asking that question.
I knew it was.
Anything else?
Just last thing is, Senate Bill 1799 is another issue I brought up before, which requires, right now, I've said before, a juvenile taken into custody has to be brought back within 40 judicial hours, which basically is saying 40 hours, not including holidays and weekends. And there was legislation to change that to 48 hours. Senate Bill 1799 requires the minor to come back within 48 hours, you know, including holidays and weekends. Basically establishing a holiday court for juveniles, as you have for adults now. You know, when you chart that out, it's basically any minor arrested Friday night or after 12 a.m. on Friday morning, I should say on Thursday night or after 12 a.m. on Friday morning, between that and 2 o'clock p.m. on Saturday, we would be required to have some sort of holiday court. We wouldn't make it till Monday. We wouldn't be in compliance. And obviously, if there's a holiday, that extends to Sunday to 2 p.m. And I've said before, I'm the department in this room that's probably least impacted by that, because we already have somebody on call. We determine if they're going to be detained or not, and so we know when we're there. Other departments and everyone in here, as I said before, from Sandy, the sheriff, to Mr. Rode, everybody, Mr. Rodriguez, will have to have somebody at that hearing, and we have to put a procedure in place that, and how we notify everybody, and how they get the paperwork, where it's going to be, what time, transport the minor back, and all that. So that passed 54-0 April 27th in the Senate. So it moves to the House, and then, but it's coming, you know, pretty soon here. So I just wanted to bring that up to you real quick. And we're thinking of options right now. Our department, we're trying to put a procedure in place. Like I said before, I think as if Tom ruled the world, here's how it would look. And then get together with the sheriff, everybody involved, and say, now, let's tweak this, and 'cause I don't know how to run their operations, obviously, how it impacts them. But I thought that was the best way to do it, is here's how we think it would work. Get together and, you know, put together some sort of procedure. So, that's gonna happen. And that's, any questions about any?
Questions?
The only thing is drug court this Friday at 9:30, room 300. There's only a few graduates this time, and they said they would have it done, as I know the police memorial on the north lawn of the courthouse follows it. I'm sure the sheriff reminded her of, I think, at 11 o'clock. They said it'd be done, so if you want to attend both, they would have it done at 9:30, and they said they would be done by 11.
300, yes.
And actually, Mr. Gessner is the guest speaker for the ceremony, so hope to see you there.
Okay, thank you. Sheriff Downing. We have a copy of his report in your packet. Take a motion to approve. Mr. McConnell, second by Mr. Vickery. Your report, sir.
Good morning. Let's see. So, the first part, as we will go over this fairly quickly, in the Corrections Division, the housing, you can see that out of county, our monthly average back in 2016, in April of 2016, was 178. In April 2017, it was 301. So a significant increase, obviously, due to ICE detainees, although our U.S. Marshal population has also increased. So that has added to it as well. If you look out to the right on the top, under number 1, the increase in revenue is over $10,000 per day based on those numbers. And at this point in the year through April, we are $1.3 million ahead of where we were last year at this time. So those numbers are continuing to rise. So we hope that it sticks around for a while. Transports, there are increases in transports due mainly to ICE because we're transporting there every day as well. We do get salary reimbursement and mileage for those transports. Our new vans are still not in service. There was a slight delay at the end of last year for reasons that we probably know but are unknown. However, we do have the vans, and they have been, we had to get them to a place that provides the cages and everything else inside to make them secure. And so they're finishing those up, and we should have them, we're hoping, within the next couple weeks. That being said, all of our 09 vans right now, of which there are 4 of them, are over 118,000 miles with the top end of 139,000 miles. We have 2 buses, an 07 22 passenger bus that has 82,000 miles on it, and an 05 24 passenger handicapped accessible bus that has 84,000 miles on it. I will be asking for 2 more vans for next year at the next finance meeting. Just a heads up, I don't think we need to do anything here. We'll just put it on finance's agenda and talk there. Questions on correction side of it? On the sworn side, if you look down under section 2, our accidents are down, citations are up, our calls for service are up significantly. Civil process is remaining consistent, which are all good things. There is one issue that we've been dealing with for the past couple months, and we can't seem to narrow down why. Used to be that we would get what are called notice to witness from the state's attorney's office that are given to our deputies, or they're given out to other police agencies when there's a trial coming up or when they need to appear in court. And lately, the last 2 or 3 months, maybe even longer, there have been issues with the courts and the state's attorney issuing subpoenas. The problem with that is that means that we have to serve them. We have enough papers to serve as it is. The addition of that is a burden on our staff. We don't know, we haven't got an answer as to why. We have to subpoena police to come to court. Of course, my first question was, is it our department that's not showing up to court? And they said no. We're still getting notice to witnesses for our guys. But we are forced to serve other police agencies subpoenas so that they show up to court. Again, a couple things. It burdens our staff because now we have to subpoena police, and we're not getting paid for it. So it's a double whammy.
Mr. Wheeler?
Mr. Chairman, was it ever indicated to you that there was a history and a reason for this, with police not showing up? Any percentages?
I don't know. There
To
probably
coordinate.
was. There may be, but you know, I don't think everybody always looks at who this process affects.
Right.
And obviously, it affects us. So
Okay.
I
can
can't
see the
speak for
need
other-
if there's a reason for, particularly an individual or a certain department, or if there's a history, but it
Right.
seems like if a blanket policy outside of the county might be
Yeah, I don't
something
know.
that maybe next.
But it is
next-
quite a burden
we
on
bring it
us,
up in
and
this committee
something that
next month.
we can't continue.
Yeah. I think we should put it on the agenda for next month, at least to ask that question.
Mr. Searice?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So we're subpoenaing police that have filed, or they're arresting officers, more than likely, or their cases.
Yes, yes. Right. As it is now, a notice to witness would come down, for example, our office, and we may get a stack of them that go to Officer Smith, Officer Jones, Officer Brown, Officer McCabe, whatever, and we just stick those in their mailbox. And then I believe that one of our girls sends out a text to notify them that they do have something in their box. How they do it at other departments, I have no idea. But it's an issue for us financially, manpower-wise, everything else.
Company that can do subpoenas also, or? I mean,
Well, yeah, but they're gonna charge the state's attorney's office to do that.
Well, maybe that's what they should do, maybe they'll
No.
keep doing that.
Well, that's,
You know,
you have to talk to Mr. Rowe about that.
It just, we're strapped with manpower.
Right.
As we are right now.
Mr. Washington?
Are you saying that it's mandatory that the subpoenas be issued to the officers? It is mandatory.
Personal service. Yeah.
So they can't be sent to the police departments and then they
No.
issue them.
Now, we have discussed this and talked about that possibility, but there's gonna have to be some sort of agreement to be able to do that. Because ultimately, if the officer doesn't show up to court, then that becomes problematic for the prosecution of the case, you know, yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, defendants can miss 5 court dates and it doesn't affect them, but if we miss once, then, you know, we get punished, so that's a whole nother issue, but.
This is another one of them, on our level, an unfunded mandate. Mr. Wheeler. Sorry.
And I think it's important to note, and without having Mr. Rowe here, we're only jumping to conclusions, but it seems to me, just for what the sheriff just said, we have a murder trial and the arresting officers from somebody's from a rural community, and they don't show up that day, then it puts that trial in jeopardy. So I think if they're doing it just for those types of reasons and really serious offenses, and maybe that's what's going on.
No,
But if it's a
not.
blanket policy for
That's not what's
smaller
going,
things.
that's not what's going on, but I understand what you're saying.
See, I think
Yeah.
that's important that they should do it
Right.
then. It's very important to make sure that that arresting officer is there for something that's serious. But again, I think we should talk about it next month with Mr. Rowe here. Yeah.
Oh, hang on, Mr. McConnell first.
So if they just get a traffic ticket, you gotta subpoena them and,
Possibly.
just for
If
traffic?
they're a witness, yeah, if it's their case.
Mr. Vickery.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Who issues the subpoenas at this time? The state's attorney?
Yes. But that could be at the request of the judge, I don't know. We don't.
Mr. Snipes.
I'll probably first ask who mandated this, and then after asking that question, because there are fees that are assessed, who has the statutory authority to set fees in these particular mandated processes, or whereas when you go to deliver or serve, that you could recoup service because there's gas, there's manpower, so there are costs associated with it. So who's responsible for setting some type of fee, even if it's in the court fees or whatever, where there's some reimbursement back to your department that has to serve these mandated personal service, not summons, what was that again?
Subpoenas.
Subpoenas. So as, who is there? I mean, I hear that it's mandated, but with a mandate, who has the statutory authority to set some type of fee to recoup costs?
Well, first of all, it's not mandated by any blanket. It's based on whoever issues a subpoena, which is the state's attorney. Now, whether that came from the judges that tells them they better be here or else, and then the state's attorney is then almost forced to issue the subpoena to try to make sure that somebody's there. We don't know. But fee-wise, we're not going to collect fees from the state's attorney. So, and we're not gonna collect fees from the court.
Right, but I'm thinking, can that cost, if they bring that cost and, the individual who, he loses the case, convicted or whatever, or open down a traffic ticket, where they can say we have to add another cost because, when we have to have the sheriff to personally serve. I'm thinking who puts that, can put those fees in place. It's got to be,
Yeah, I don't know. I don't
Under
know if
the
judges
courts.
do it or not. I don't know if they can.
you know,
And the last part on, you guys' printout is 2 pages. I saved paper and only did front and back.
So that,
But looks like based on those numbers right now for housing alone, we are looking at right around a conservative figure of about $8 million. We are anticipating movement with some numbers and that possibly could get us closer to $9 million. So that would be huge for everybody. So not the end all be all, but will certainly help.
Mr. Stauffenberg.
Thank you, Chairman. Sheriff, the $1.3 million you talked about earlier, is that on the books or do we have the money?
Is that on the books or do we have the money?
Yeah, do we actually, do we physically have $1 million?
I believe we have everything except April.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
they're, once they caught up, I mean, they've been paying within 30 days, so.
Yeah, that's good.
Yep.
A little
Yep.
different than Tom's situation, so this was curious if it was,
Yeah.
on paper, we actually physically had the money. Thank you.
Our vendors, thank you.
Hey, you know what? Unfortunately, we're all in this together, fortunately or unfortunately, and anything we can do to help is a boon for everybody, so that's what we're trying to do anyway.
That's why we try to keep the equipment up.
Yeah. And on that note, with our ICE update, we are staying consistent with our numbers. They are increasing at a slow pace, partially by.
Can I interrupt you just
Sure.
a second? If we're done with the report, we have a motion and
Oh,
a second.
sorry.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Same sign.
Okay.
Motion carries. Mr. Series.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to thank the sheriff for emailing his report, putting it out there. It's a lot easier to follow you talking when I can see it here and not have to. say it.
Actually, Diane emailed it, but yeah.
Thank you
So you
very
got
much.
it.
Appreciate it.
So our numbers are increasing at a slow pace with ICE, partially by ICE's choice and partially by ours, mainly due to staffing. We are slowly but surely getting our staffing up to a number that is adequate. Right now, we're still at 106, which I'll talk about a little later too. So, questions on ICE? The next item on the agenda is what I refer to as a routine traffic stop, and it's a video that we have from a in-car camera. And first of all, I would tell you that there is no such thing as a routine traffic stop. As you can see, the citations that our guys write, which for this year right now are 290 citations and 192 warnings. Not one of them was routine, for the simple reason we have no idea what we're walking up to when we stop a car. And I believe that this video will show you. It's a 20-minute video. We're not going to show you the whole thing, but I'll preface it by saying a couple things. This is a 2-person car stop out east. Yes. The person stopped was well known to the police, and they knew him to be driving with a suspended license. Our deputies handled this individual with respect and professionalism that he deserved. And for a while, it was pretty steady. This individual would not comply. He was tased. He fled from our deputies while they attempted to handcuff him. He ran out into a field where officers got him. Our backup was at least 10 minutes away. And on the surface, it's easy to say, well, you have 2 officers out there dealing with 1 person. And most would say that's pretty legit. The problem is, shortly after the stop, when people see police lights, what do? They start to congregate. And there were upwards of 50 people who ultimately congregated around this area. None of the crowd was there telling this individual to comply, telling this individual to stop, telling this individual to do what the police said. These guys were out there with their cell phones, taking video, waiting for our guys to make a mistake, which I'm proud to say they never did. The frustration of the assistance of those 50 plus people is pathetic. Well, non-assistance. It is pathetic. It is a disgrace, quite frankly. And our guys are out there, our backup gets there, our investigators get there, the cars we had on the street get there, and the cell phones are still running. Our guys get him in the field, and he chooses still not to comply, still not to walk. He purposely made us drag him through the field, which of course the video cameras are going. And of course, you know, we know how the news is. I'm sure if the news were to show a picture of this individual, they wouldn't show his booking photo, they'd show him in a graduation cap and gown. But literally, and I'm sure the news would just show us dragging him through the field, watching us, you know, do whatever it is we do. Instead of saying that it took us 20 minutes to get him to this point, they would show a 30-second clip of us dragging him, look like we were, you know, assaulting him. So he continued to not comply. Still none of the crowd was saying, hey, stop. This guy was driving with a suspended license. That doesn't sound very serious until you add that he's under the influence of PCP. He had PCP in his car, and he's on a roadway of which we all drive that he could easily hit us head on, hit our families head on, hit somebody head on and kill him. But all we get is, you know, oh, don't beat him, you're beating him, you're beating him, you're beating him, you're hitting him. I just can't tell you the frustration of the as Mr. Washington said, the non-assistance. iPhones continue to roll. Some of you may have probably seen some of their video on social media. I don't know. I never saw it. I saw our dash cam. And like I said, we'll show you about 10 minutes of this, and then the rest of it, you know, you can imagine, because obviously the dash cam does not pick up what happened in the field. I'm sure if you contact somebody out east, they can get you a copy of their video on the phone. But, you know, the crowd was searching for a way to blame the deputies. And that, you know, is what we deal with daily. This isn't something that happens once a year. This happens a lot. And I think it's important for you guys as county board members, as member of the Criminal Justice Committee, to watch this just for 10 minutes or so. Go ahead and start it. We got audio? Is there audio? Okay. That's a little muddy. We had 975 what? That's why we had to go physically.
Take out 46 tracks. 46 had. Middle line is delayed. 2,000 south, 13,000 east. Leave Rushford 45374. Zebra X-ray 45374.
Yeah, coming 59. 1081. Dispatch, we'll see you. Okay. Stadium Drive, we'll advise the address when I get there. The mileage is 9.
Baby's mama there? Yeah. Why are you driving the car? Why are you driving?
Well, they said 24 today, I'll have a 57 or 11.
I thought you were saying you're suspended. You're not suspended? What's up, man?
Yeah, Drive 47 on 10 paper return.
That's a from ID card. Right?
Yeah.
So your licenses are suspended.
Yeah, your driver's license is suspended. No. That's what our computer's saying.
Why would you have previous tickets for something else?
No.
Nothing?
No.
How can you be suspended? This is an ID card. You have a license?
You know the paper service
Huh?
for
No.
Eddie
No?
and phone advice.
You have nothing else besides no? I mean,
Okay, what's the address?
you have a driver's license? No. No. Have you ever had one? Okay, so why? Huh?
Stand by, I'll call back over to probation in their office. 78.
What's that, your day of birth?
Yeah.
Yeah, day of birth. Yeah. So you never got any tickets at all for anything else? No insurance tickets?
Maurice, it looks like they just suspended your license on the 15th of this month. Right.
Do you know what for? You know why would they have done it?
No.
Huh?
No.
You have no idea?
No.
Also, you got the brake light and the rear brake light now. Oh.
Go ahead and hop out of the car.
Hold on for a second.
Go ahead and step out of the car for me, Maurice. You're suspended. You're a suspended driver, man. Go ahead and hop out of the
You got anything in the car you shouldn't have on you? Just hold on, Maurice.
Go ahead and hop out. Sir, go ahead and hop out of the car. Okay. Maurice. Come on, listen. Hop out of the car. You're suspended. You're going to go to jail. 4933.
Come on. Come on outside. Let's talk to you outside.
You can hear this one. Come on, Maurice. Just cooperate with us. There's no need not to. Go ahead and hop out of the car.
What?
You're a suspended driver.
Our licenses are suspended. We're explaining to you now they're not here.
Come on. Yeah.
What's that?
I know you have a car.
Huh?
Okay. All right.
Why
Go ahead
not?
and hop out for me, man.
You have anything illegal here?
No.
So why are you worried about that then?
No.
So you have nothing in here illegal?
Okay. All right. Go ahead and hop out, Maurice.
No guns?
Well, we can do this the easy way or the hard way, man.
I'm not getting out.
Why is that?
I'm not getting out.
Are you high?
No.
Are you drunk?
No.
Okay then.
No.
What's
Then
the
you
problem?
got to, Maurice.
No.
We're trying to cooperate with you. You cooperate with us,
No.
man. You're a suspended driver, Maurice.
No.
X-ray 46, Dana.
You got Beth in the vehicle here with you?
No.
Nobody here?
No.
All right, come
Does
on.
anybody else take your car?
I'm
You want us to tow it?
No. I'm not getting out.
I understand what you're saying, but do you want us to tow it?
I'm not getting out.
Huh?
I'm not getting
You want to fight us?
No.
Well, then hop out, because it's going to be one or the other, Maurice.
No.
Because if you're going to fight us, then that's another charge and all kinds of
I don't
problems.
want to do that, man. All right, come on.
I'm not getting out.
Why?
Billy out at building 240, apartment 7. All right.
I'm tired. No.
All right, I
You're tired?
understand you're tired, Maurice.
What do you mean you're tired of what?
No. 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 I'm not getting
Come on,
out.
sir.
I'm not getting out. I'm not getting out.
Come on.
Come on.
No. I'm not getting out.
Maurice, I'll tase you if you do not get out of the car,
I'm
okay?
not getting out.
I will tase you if you don't get out of the car. Come on.
I'm not getting out.
Maurice,
Man.
hop out
You
now.
want-
This is your fair warning, or you're going to get tased, okay? Hop out or you will be tased, Maurice. Get it? Get out of the car. Okay. Come on.
Come on out. Keep your hands up and we see 'em. Keep your hands up. Maurice, come on out. You're doing fine.
Call my mom.
I will.
Okay.
Come on out. Cooperate. You work with us?
Call my mom.
Call your what?
Mama.
Your mother?
Yep.
Okay, all right. We will cooperate with you.
Nope.
You cooperate with us, we'll cooperate with you.
I'm not.
Okay, well, I don't have her number. You have to give it to me when you get out. Come on, Marie. Call who? Come on, buddy.
815.
I don't have a phone right here. I have to go back to my car and get a phone.
815.
Okay, come on in. We will cooperate. Come on, let's go.
Hey.
Maurice, you're gonna get... You're about ready to get tased. You will be tased. Come on out and cooperate. Hop out now, or you will be tased. I'm warning you. Okay, come on. Come on, Maurice. 3340. Get your hands behind your back now. Watch him. Watch him. We got one stuff to you. I'm not. Get your other hand behind your back. You're gonna get tased again, Maurice. Stop. 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 Watch that hand. Watch that hand. Stop. 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 I'm not. Stop. Maurice, stop it right now. You're gonna get tased. I'm gonna say stop. 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 Is it working?
The rest of it is all you hear is audio. A couple of things to add, and we can answer any questions you might have. He obviously gave a state ID to our guys instead of a driver's license. Our guys actually referred to him as sir even after he was refusing after 5 or 6 times. Well, you cooperate with us, we'll cooperate with you. I mean, those are pretty standard things that are telling him, look, just cooperate, we'll be fine. And if you notice, backup still was not there. So, just wanted to show that to you, to let you know what we deal with. And again, these aren't things that just happen once every 6 months. These happen, I don't want to say regularly, but they happen, and they're out there. So, questions? Yeah, they did an outstanding job. Very patient, and you know that's not unique to them. That's the entire staff. So,
Mr. Vickery.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Unfortunately, people's attitudes have changed over the last number of years.
That doesn't make it right.
I mean, I'm agreeing with
Right.
you, Sheriff.
Right. No, I understand.
I'm saying that some of the populace used to be a lot more cooperative. It seems, just from some of the exposure that I've had, which is limited, but it seems that there's the news media hasn't helped. Many of the examples that you've seen on YouTube and stuff have not helped.
Right.
And for the most part, I think our officers do an excellent job. They're well trained and they do a good job. Thank you.
Well, and understand, and you mentioned the YouTubes and the news and all that. I am certainly not up here saying that everything that we see on the news is wrong and that some of these officers who maybe didn't do the right thing, there are people out there that don't do the right thing. But as I'm here to tell you, you know, our guys, we pride ourselves on doing the right thing and doing what's right and handling situations as they happen. Yes, there are police out there that shouldn't be the police. I don't think that's disputable. But I think the credit should go to our guys when, as we do the right things the right way, and I think it's important that you guys as a public safety committee know that. So.
Mr. Washington.
It's obvious to me for the part that we saw, they were trying to handle him with kid-skin gloves.
Mm-hmm.
He wouldn't have gotten a chance to run away had they not been doing that.
Right.
Had they been acting outside of the parameters that they normally are supposed to act in, he wouldn't have gotten anywhere. He'd have been splayed out on the ground.
Right. Right. And sometimes when the adrenaline's flowing, that's easy to do. So a credit to our guys again for having the patience to deal with him. And again, we have a great working relationship with the majority of the people out east and the majority of people in the unincorporated area. We really do. It's just unfortunate that this incident, something like this happens, and again, the lack of assistance is certainly frustrating and disappointing.
Mr. Vickery again.
Just a brief comment. The wrong person there. We would have had all the news channels here.
That's right.
I'm serious.
No doubt.
It could have been a very serious
No
thing.
doubt about it. No doubt about it.
Mr. Lear?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm wondering, Sheriff, you made several references to lack of assistance. What kind of things is it appropriate for a citizen who's not trained to do in terms of assistance?
Well, we're certainly not asking him to go out there and help us handcuff him. We're asking, instead of hollering, don't beat him, don't beat him, don't beat him, to say, follow the rules, listen to him, we'll deal with it later. I mean, at least talk to him in a way that's going to help him comply, maybe. Maybe not. I mean,
Sure.
being under the influence of whatever he was under the influence of, we don't know if that's going to help or not, but don't be the opposite and, worry about whether you're going to, get some lawsuit for excessive force when there's not even a hint of it. So, anyway.
Mr. Snipes?
When I was a red officer, and also when I ran auxiliary with the city, there's a distinguishable difference between excessive force and reasonable force. Every individual should be treated professionally, and in this case, it has. But the problem that I have with seeing both sides of the equation is that now law enforcement is overshadowed with these individuals who acted inappropriately, that every law enforcement is perceived as being the enemy. And in essence, they are your protector, because if you take them away, who do you call? Given the fact that several murders have happened out in this area, who would you call if you didn't have law enforcement? I'm almost at the point of saying that there should be some program developed. I know they have a Citizen Police Academy in Kankakee, but just an overall educational program, and how do you act and how should you react, when you see situations like this. The patience is a problem, I would say, as far as that the professionalism is a problem. But what disturbs me is when I'm hearing there's 50 folks with cameras all trying to initiate something that is not happening. Right. And they should be there really to either, I don't want to say shut up, but just to assist, but not to perpetuate or elevate a situation when you clearly see that on the part of the officer, he has exemplified what I consider to be more than patient character. And the reason I say that is because you go to Chicago, it doesn't last this long. It's almost like they have a timing, like when you're in them restaurants and they say you need to have these people served within 4 minutes to move on to the next, or you're late or whatever. It looks like that's the case. And so what I'm saying, we don't have that. And so there's a lot of patience here. But I would like to see almost like that video being showed, since they're going to show videos. Let's show videos of individuals actually doing the right thing, and then saying, but
Bob,
this is what happened.
That doesn't sell news. That does not sell news. I'm telling you that right up front.
But I think if we use their own social media and show, here's a stop, and this is just a, maybe they can't do it, but freedom of information, if you pull it, but saying, look at this situation, and look that we have 50, the rest of the story, you got 50 other citizens. This is how we should react, or this is how you should act if you're going to be on the outskirts or whatever. Encourage and not discourage. Now, if you see something wrong, fine. But in most cases, officers do what officers are trained to do, and they try to be professional. But you also have to remember, every day, as an officer, when I was trained, even in the Department of Corrections, that when you walk in there, you may not walk out of there.
Yep.
So your life is on the line because you don't know. It's like one of the most dangerous areas of policing, I think, when I was around there and was with them, was domestic violence. Something that was very simple could stir out, and then guns is involved and everything else or whatever. And the last thing you want to do is lose that individual, but then lose an officer who may not be able to go home to family. But that's just my opinion.
Thank you.
Thank you. They are, to respond to a couple things, they are now teaching how to respond to a traffic stop, how to handle yourself in a traffic stop in driver's ed classes. Now, they don't say, how do you respond when you're high on PCP? But that's a whole nother issue. So. Our staffing update, we are still at 106 COs and 44 sworn. We did find, for those of you in finance, and Lynn and I have talked a couple times about the discrepancy that we had, and we did find what the discrepancy was, and that was a count that of number that she had on the list of names, of 3 names that more than likely will not be back to work for one reason or another. So that was why she had 110. So we got that figured out. The other issue was that I believe will be changed on the next staffing report, and that is while it shows our lieutenants and Chief McCabe and I, it also shows we have 39 on patrol, and we, at the Finance Committee, indicated that that was not accurate. We have 39 deputies, supervisors. We have 2 in Metro, 1 in the school, 5 investigators, 3 in the courthouse, and 1 in KMEG. So that brings that number down to 26 on patrol, as opposed to the 39 that it shows in that report. But I believe that'll be fixed at the next finance meeting. And as I've told you before, we are looking to replace those that have retired, and we are emphasizing lateral replacements, which means people who already have experience and have already been trained, so that we don't have to send them to training for 12 weeks. So that is ongoing. And then 2 more things. Tom mentioned it already, but the police memorial is Friday. This Friday, May the 12th, at the courthouse at 11 o'clock. Are they, Chad, if it's inclement weather, are they going to move it to the resource center or the rec center? Oh, City Hall. Okay. So they will, depending on what the weather is. I guess we never know. But and then the last item is something that the chairman gave me. This is a New World agency agreement that we have with all of our agencies. There is a new chief of police in Moments, and so he needs to enter into this agreement with the county, and the chairman needs to sign this agreement as well. It's like we have with every other police agency, but he wanted me to bring that to your attention as well. That's all I got.
Question, Mr. Payton.
Jeff, I just want to commend the professionalism of your officers. My burglar alarm went off, and I didn't identify myself as a county board member, but they treated me with a professional attitude, and I appreciate it. That might be why.
Just kidding.
I didn't tell them I was a county
I know, that might be why.
Right.
If you'd have said you were a county board member, it might have been different.
But anyway, I just wanted to mention that.
Great, that's great to hear. You know, we always hear about the bad stuff, and we want to hear about the bad stuff, but hearing about the good stuff is always good too, so we appreciate it.
Mr. Vickery.
My cruise control set at 58.
That's a lie.
Hope
because
it's not in a 55.
Mr. Sears.
I don't know if the judge will go with that.
That's right. Exactly. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sheriff,
sorry.
Not to change the subject, but to bring something up that is starting to be a problem in the area that I'm around, is some unwanted dumping out in the country areas. And I don't, there's some farmers that are getting things dumped in their fields, garbage, wood, things like that.
Needles.
Anything's getting dumped in these fields, and they're trying to. A couple guys have asked me what can they do, and you know, they've got those trail cameras now what they put up for deer. If they brought trail camera pictures, would that be enough for somebody to at least write somebody a ticket for dumping?
We would certainly look at it if we can identify them.
Because
we're. And are they calling when they find this, or are they calling you, or are they calling the police?
Well, I'm not sure, but they're calling like the township to go clean it up, and then they've got to find a way to dispose TVs and just junk. They're even thinking about putting a dumpster out in the middle where they're dumping, just to see if they'll dump it in the dumpster instead of dumping it in the guy's field. So I don't know if that's a.
I would certainly, you know, if they get good video to get it to us, and if we can identify them, and then the other issue is to make sure they call if there is something going on. So.
Okay, thank you, sir.
So that we know the areas, so our guys can even increase the patrols there.
Mr. Snipes.
Not so much the sheriff, but it is a event that the sheriff has been a part of, and that is we have to Stop the Violence, Increase the Peace rally every year, and it was generally around the last of July and August. But this year it's going to be June, the first week when kids get out, June 10th, and we're going to be feeding the community. But it's going to be at Pioneer Park, because a lot of individuals want to come together and really get the individuals right when they're out of school, and hopefully we can start the day off right away. When they're going to have a little 3-day revival between that, and then on that Saturday, kids is going to go out and eat. But and we always thank you because you've been a part of it since day one. And they do come out and wherever kids, they come out, and then they also fund them with your cookies and everything else as we do the meats and all of that. And it's a bigger day. But this year they want to catch them coming right out of school, and it's something to do, and then have positive. And it's always a good thing because when the police presence is there, they see officers as we saw them. We used to call them back in the day, officer friendly. And that's the thing. I said they're peace officers until you make them police officers. Most of the time they just want to be peace officers or whatever, and they're there to protect, and serve. So we do have that, but it'll be coming up in June of this year. As soon as they're out or wherever, we're putting out some big. They're still working on particular. It's probably going to be that they're going to try to do the whole day because they're going to put some things out there for them to do and get some things to make it a day. But we're going to check. We'll get more to you. I just want to let them know.
Yeah, let us know because we'll get you what we usually get you.
Right, and then but the good thing is that they are involved in positive things, and that's what's good about this particular community, or wherever more so, wherever that we. When I was at the state downstate, they said the thing about Kankakee is like everybody knows each other, and it's more of a family thing, and that's not the case anywhere. I said, you kidding me? Oh no, not up north, not in the city. No, they don't have that. Will County, they don't have that. So I think we're blessed in certain areas. And the other thing I didn't realize is that they said you all are a college town. We don't really, we don't even suggest that in our thing, but we do. We have a Olivet, and we have KCC. Right. So we have a lot of good things that's going on in our county. I think we need to kind of sometimes enlighten, get a video and say, this is Kankakee County.
Okay, any old business come before the committee? Any old business? New business, Mr. Wheeler.
Chairman, as I mentioned before, here's another fun thing we get to deal with. It's called it was passed last year, didn't hear about it, the Illinois Noxious Weed Law. Okay? And I received a letter that we're in non-compliance of this law. Basically says, it says the controlling authority of the county must, under this act, and I'll get into what they have to do, but I had to find out if we were the controlling authority, and we are. But it's not just for the county, it's for the municipal areas as well. We're supposed to have programs. These following plants are designated noxious weeds: giant ragweed, common ragweed, Canada thistle, perennial snow whistle, musk thistle. Apparently thistles are a problem. Perennial members of the sorghum genus, Johnson grass. It's just, the list goes on. But here's what we have to do. Publish in one or more legal newspapers a general notice of intent to eradicate noxious weeds. That's a minimal cost. And then there's a mandated form that we have to do, maybe up to a full page. Minimal, I say it's $3 to $4 grand. Establish a coordinated program for control of eradication of noxious weeds within the county, as well as conduct examination of all land under its jurisdiction. Advise owners of infested land on proper eradication techniques, with the cost of eradication being borne by the owner of the land. Investigate and prosecute violations of this act. Prevent the dissemination of noxious weeds through any article, machinery, equipment, plants, materials, and maintain any land it owns as not to harbor and encourage the growth of noxious weeds. As I mentioned, we are the controlling agency, and according to the Department of Agriculture, we're going to have to hire people to do this program all over the county and within the municipal government limits. As if we don't have enough to do. Absolutely no money for it. So I just heard about it. Again, I got the letter. I'm in non-compliance of a law we didn't even know about. And in the grand scheme of things, I'm saying it in criminal justice because I still don't know what department this would fall under. Planning? Is it, we could prosecute people for having the wrong kind of weeds in their lawn? And marijuana's on the list too. I forgot. I skipped over that one.
That's gonna be legal pretty soon.
Oh, yeah. Well, ironically, there's a bill in the House saying that they're going to allow the production and cultivation of hemp. So that, again, that falls under the same classification. So the dichotomy there is just staggering. But there's your word for the day, dichotomy. I just don't understand it. And so I don't like spending money. I think everybody knows that, especially at times like this. But we're going to have to address it. And whether that's one person, that's their full-time job, is to just walk around the county and look for these weeds, and then tell landowners that they got to take care of I mean, seriously, how far does this go? And it's, is there going to be like a Crime Stoppers for weeds? I don't know. I mean, weed stoppers. Yeah. Exactly. So again, I'm joking a little bit, but it is frustrating because you laugh or cry sometimes. So I don't have a lot of answers yet.
I think we need to pass that along to Chad Miller.
Oh, there you go.
Farm Bureau.
Yeah, we can subcontract them.
And then add that to our other list.
Thank you.
Wouldn't you think that enforcement for something like that would have to come through the health department, or?
I was thinking maybe highway would be the people that are out there all the time, and they could have somebody that, I don't know, I'm still at the weed stoppers though, that actually, I should trademark that.
I would,
Mr. Snipes.
right. I would probably be interested in what is the penalties if you don't comply?
Haven't even got that far.
Okay.
I just wanted to find out first who the controlling agency is. Is it township? Do we all have to share in the cost of this?
And this is a state mandate that came out of the This is part of their solution to
June of
save
last year it passed.
Illinois?
Yep, June of last year it passed. And I'm finding that other counties just got this a couple days ago.
Any other new business? Take a motion to adjourn. Mr. Stauffenberg, second by Mr. McConnell. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carries.